Welcome to Egypt News. I am your host, Erin. Our top story of the day is the pyramid. Not the ones you see outside your door, but the social pyramid. Who ranks at the top and who brings up the bottom? Let's find out. And here we have our social pyramid. At the top, as you can see, are our pharaohs. Right below that would be the government officials, such as nobles, the president, priests. And did you know that nobles are the only ones that are allowed to hold like a government position, and that if you are elected president, you get to hold that term for 6 years? Right below that are our valiant soldiers, the lovely scribes who made this board for us, the merchants, the artisans, the farmers, and bringing up the rear are those very loyal servants and slaves. Now to Amanda with education.
Hey Erin, did you know that the Egyptians' most important food item is the bread loaf? Delish. So behind me here we have Billy. He's 5 years old, and next to him, that's his big sister Martha. She's 15 years old. You want to know why they're so happy? Because they have a free primary education up until the 9th grade. Isn't that awesome? And after that, they get a free secondary education, aka American high school. After high school, about 30% of Egyptians go on to higher education facilities, not necessarily university or college, but they're still learning. Where at these universities and higher level institutes, each specific major, they have their own grading scale, so they're graded harder or easier depending on their major. All right, Erin, that's enough for me. Back to you.
Hello, and welcome to Erin's Corner, where I talk about those heavy topics that not very many people want to talk about. But I'm not afraid. Today's topic is the dominant ideology of Egypt. Egypt's dominant ideology is that it's okay to treat people that are not Egyptian male like dirt, and that Egyptian males are the supreme leaders of society, and that no matter what they do, they're always right. For a woman like me, it's hard to see that many other females try to pursue an education, but once they reach that higher level of education and they graduate, they turn into house moms due to discrimination. Not only that, but 99.3% of Egyptian women reported experiencing sexual harassment. But 91% of women between 15 and 49 have been subjected to female genitalia mutilation. That's hard to hear. And the fact that 80% of married men admitted to inflicting sexual harassment onto their wives. But yet, what has been done to fix this? Absolutely nothing. It's okay to sexually harass women in the halls and in the streets, just like this video clip I have for you. Let's take a look.
This is so fun.
Oh yeah!
That was a hardy clip to watch. This is not just about the lower social class and them not being fully educated so that they think that it's okay to mistreat women. This is a problem for all social classes. In every social class, women get to go through the same education men do. But then when they become wives, and even out in the streets when they're just with their friends, they get sexually harassed and experience domestic violence within their own homes.
But women are scared to speak out about this because they're afraid of public shame, ostracism, and in poorer communities, they're afraid of physical abuse that's used to control women and children's behaviors. But this isn't just about the women. This is also about those other races that live in Egypt that also get discriminated against. It has been reported that men in Egypt get asked what race they are, and if they are not Egyptian, then they are discriminated against. They believe that the rest of Africa is a stereotypical exotic land of thick jungles and masses of poor, starving, black-skinned savages. And even though Cairo was the nerve center for the continent's liberation movement, they still believe that Egypt is not a part of Africa, and that whenever they go to any other part of Africa, it is considered going to Africa, traveling down to Africa. They don't consider them part of it. And they also feel offended by being identified with Africa. Now, what does that say about your society? I'm going to leave you with my final thoughts. Egypt. Women and other races are nothing different than regular Egyptian men. They are all human beings and should all be treated like them.
Hey, this is Nate. We're going to do a podcast today continuing on the topic of Egypt. Wow. I have mate selection, so I'm going to focus on marriages throughout Egypt. And starting with marriages in Egypt, throughout time between ancient Egypt and now, marriages have not changed really much at all. They're kind of the same because the way that Egypt set it up, they had a really religious ceremony base for marriage, but approached it in a very civil and very legal way. So they were the first country to establish marriage laws, while most countries at this time with marriages would give all the rights to the man. In Egypt, they actually are seen as equals, and the woman is held in a very prestigious manner. While continuing with this, if there is a problem within the marriage and either side wants a divorce, it is perfectly legal for both the man or the wife to ask for the divorce. While divorce is not common, it does happen. It still happens today. Like, it's not common for Egyptians to divorce each other, but if a divorce were to happen, primarily the father is the one to gain custody of the children and would have to pay back either the bride's wife or whatever he paid for them. They would have to give restitution for that. But however, talking about weddings and everything, everything in Egypt is done through a matchmaker. So the matchmaker is someone outside of the family that knows the bride or knows the groom or just knows the family in general. So she'll sit down and have a meeting with both the bride and both the groom, and they will talk about what they want and what they don't want from the marriage, and then she'll go back to the opposite party and tell them what the groom or the bride wanted from the marriage, and if they agree that this is what they both want in it, they will agree that they will marry each other, or they'll disagree that they don't want to marry each other. It's perfectly fine for them not to get married. They have every right to say, no, I don't want to marry this. So more women are giving more attempts to say, no, I don't want to marry them, until they're finding the right one that they do want to marry. While it's okay for them to say no to these attempts at marriage, the longer and longer they go on and wait for the marriage, the more in society they're looked down upon. But with times changing today, they are starting to see it as more of an okay thing. They're starting to be able to date each other now. While in old days they had to be on supervised dates where they were never allowed to be alone with each other. The parents always had to be there. While that still happens with the marriage meetings, everyone comes in because the parents of the bride have to figure out who's going to pay. They figure out the sum of the dowry. But everything is done through the matchmaker regarding the ceremony and what's going to happen between the two of them when they are married. However, Egypt is still going through a lot of traditions, and they're very traditional in the way that they do the marriages. They still have the bad customs that they still have the bad customs being that it's very expensive to have a wedding, and the people of Egypt are not very rich. Like on average, the wedding cost in Egypt is $30,000, and most people only make $44 a month in Egypt. And then another bad custom is that they still have inter-family marriage. While the reasons for the inter-family marriage are actually very legitimate reasons, that they want to keep the family has power, they want to keep the power within the family. If they have wealth, they want to keep within the wealth, and they want everything to stay within the family. So it's okay to be seen with a first cousin or second cousin marrying each other, and it's still okay today. But as we are approaching newer times, it's starting to see that women are wanting to have more and more freedom, so they are allowed to. It's looking better for them to have the options and opportunities to go out and meet people. They are allowed to basically have more freedoms as women and becoming more and more equals to men. That's about sums it up for Egypt and its marriage customs. Have a nice day, guys.
I'm not ready. I'm not ready. We have 5 minutes.
There's school.
AKA high school. I had read that entire time, so maybe we should.
You're crazy. God,